This is The Maze on ASO Television. Many thanks for joining us today. I am Rosemary UKOKO-TEGA. The Maze is a weekly update on activities of the National Assembly. It comes your way at this time, that is 8 p.m. every Friday. Today's edition is focusing on top issues on resumption of legislative proceedings after the Christmas and New Year holidays by lawmakers. Topmost here is national security and economy.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we will realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
You're watching The Maze on ASO Television. You can watch us live on DSTV 392, Star Times TV 127, Free TV 507, UHF Band 38. You can find all editions of The Maze on ASO Radio and Television YouTube channel. Like our page and do subscribe. Down to business. The two legislative arms of the National Assembly resumed from the Christmas and New Year holidays with long lists of national issues to be tackled. Topping this list is insecurity. At the Red Chamber, senators resolved to summon once more security chiefs in a bid to urgently stop the scourge of kidnappings, banditry, and killings across states of the Federation. The resolution emanated from 6 different motions on insecurity and sponsored by different senators at resumed plenary on Tuesday. We have Leader of the Senate, Senator Bayemi Bamidele, on the floor.
The Senate notes with sadness the rising spate of killings, kidnappings, banditry, and other criminal activities in the nation. That the Senate do invoke the earlier resolutions to invite the security chiefs for an interactive session with the Senate with a view to resolving the insecurity that is plaguing the country.
Now to President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio's remark.
The motion has been moved by the Leader of the Senate on behalf of the 109 senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and seconded by the minority leader in respect of the security situation in the country, the killing of people even after collection of ransom, and the fact that people have turned it into a merchandise where middlemen are now collecting money from victims. And the Senate has also noted the bomb explosion at Bodija in Ibadan in Oyo State that led to loss of lives and properties. several residential houses, schools, hotels, religious and worship centers were destroyed. The Senate has also noted the killings of several residents of Bango, Bokos, and Boko Ladi communities in Plateau State, and is asking that the Senate do invoke its area resolution to invite the security chiefs for an inquisitive session with a view to resolving the insecurity that is plaguing the entire country.
Also during the sitting, the senator representing Kano South, Suleiman Kawo, questioned the premature removal of the substantive executive director of the Midstream Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, Mansour Kulia. The lawmaker was responding to President Tinubu's letter asking the Senate to confirm Oluwole Adama as the new executive director of the agency. Let's have some of that.
Request for confirmation of appointment of executive director for the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, in accordance with the provisions of Section 441, subsection 2 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Oluwole Adama as the Executive Director, Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund in the Petroleum Regulatory Authority. While I hope that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in an expeditious manner, please accept, distinguished Senate Presidents and distinguished Senators, the assurances of my highest regards. This is signed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. I believe this is referred to the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Industry to look into and revert to this hollow chamber within 1 week.
Downstream and gas?
Yes, downstream and gas. In fact, downstream and gas.
The National Assembly shall have power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation or any part thereof, with respect of any matter included in the executive legislative list set out in Part 1 of the second schedule of this Constitution. Based on these powers vested to the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, if we can, Mr. President, if we can remember last National Assembly, 9th National Assembly, passed Petroleum Industrial Act, which is one of the marvelous exercise of this legislative house. Under it, the communication sent to Mr. President on this Executive Director, Midstream and Downstream Gas Fund, somebody or someone from my constituency was appointed as Executive Director, the one which you mentioned. And the appointment is in term of 5 years in accordance with the provision of Section 34 of the FIA, Section 34, DI Section 2, and 5 of the Petroleum Industrial Act. Therefore, and Section 36(1), he started in March 2022, and it is the Senate who confirmed him. And there are so many provisions in the Act that if for any reason he will be removed or replaced for any reason, there must be a process which the executive, although he has power to appoint, but there must be a procedure in line with our laws and constitution. Therefore, I am drawing the attention of the Senate that the appointment, okay, or the gentleman who is serving his term was not served with any letter of disengagement or there was no correspondence from anybody, but he was just heard that he has been removed. Therefore, I think we are the one who made this law. It is the responsibility of the National Assembly to respect its own laws. That is the reason why I draw the attention of the Senate and of course Nigerians on the constitutional breach, which I believe it is an oversight from the executive.
So the two committees, Committee on Gas and Downstream, when you are deliberating, as you are reverting to us, please take cognizance of his point of order.
A similar communication from the President sought of the Senate confirmation of the disengagement of Babatunde Irukera as the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC.
Disengagement of the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. In accordance with the provisions of Section 8, Subsection 2 of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, Act 2018, I hereby seek the kind confirmation of the Senate in respect of the disengagement from office of Babatunde Irukera as the Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, with effect from Monday, the 8th day of January 2024. Well, I hope that this Senate will consider this request expeditiously. Please do accept, distinguished Senate President and distinguished Senators, the assurances of my highest regards. This is a correspondence from Mr. President that requires urgent attention.
Now to the Green Chamber. And on resumption, just like the Senate, national security and the economy dominated proceeding. The Speaker, Mr. Tajuddin Abbas, in his welcome remarks, urged President Bola Tinubu to take necessary steps, no matter how tough, to save the country from the cruel grip of insecurity. Other major points in the Speaker's speech touch on general economy, inflation, unemployment, and infrastructural deficit. The Speaker also announced plan to convene a security summit. This should be another one. Speaker Abbas to the mic.
Honorable colleagues, I address you today not just as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, but as a concerned citizen, deeply troubled by the widespread insecurity that grieves our dear country. Indeed, Nigeria stands at a crucial juncture, facing formidable challenges that test our resolve, unity, and spirit. The threats of insurgency are severely testing the peace and stability of our dear country. The rise in kidnapping for ransom and the unsettling unrest and crises across all the 6 geopolitical zones. Families and communities have endured immense hardships, and our hearts go to all those affected by these tumultuous events. We are particularly saddened by the tragic and senseless murder of our daughters, Nabiha Al-Qadriya and Forunsho Ario, the heinous murder of over 30 people in Plateau State, as well as many others who have fallen victim to the mindless acts of terror in the last few weeks. We also remember those who lost their lives in the blast in Ibadan, triggered by explosives stored by illegal miners. May we rise and observe a minute silence in their honors. The nation has been caught in the vicious grip of insecurity, a malaise that spreads its tentacles far and wide, sparing no one in its wake. Despite numerous security measures, this menace continues to thrive, mocking our efforts and challenging our resolve to build a cohesive, peaceful, and prosperous Nigeria. It is a stark reminder that the conventional approaches to security we have exposed for so long are no longer sufficient. The time has come to think out of the box and adopt new and contemporary strategies that better respond to the complexities of our current challenges. To our patriotic and brave security forces, while commending your heroism and sacrifice, the time has come for you to review your approaches and strategies, innovate and adapt. The enemy evolves, and so must we. I challenge you to rise to this occasion to demonstrate the indomitable spirit for which you are known, and to do more in safeguarding the lives and properties of our people. Indeed, the time has come for the President to demand greater performance and accountability from our service chiefs and all security and enforcement agencies. I implore the President not to shy away from making the tough decisions. If necessary, we must not hesitate to enact changes within our security apparatus for the cause of inaction if inaction is far too great to bear. In light of these challenges, I propose convening a National Legislative Security Summit. This summit will serve as a crucible for ideas where stakeholders from diverse sectors, security, traditional and religious institutions, academia, civil society, and more will forge enduring solutions to our security woes. It is time to harness our collective expertise to break the silos that have hindered our progress and to chart a new course towards peace and stability. In addition, as a matter of urgent national importance, I charge all the relevant security-based committees of this House to engage with their security chiefs on some of the most immediate measures and resources needed to improve security across the country. Honorable colleagues, on the economic front, our country continues to grapple with numerous hurdles that impede our growth trajectory. Inflation, unemployment, and infrastructural deficits are issues that touch the core of our people's lives. The continuous depreciation of the Naira has far-reaching consequences, given that Nigeria relies heavily on imports for many essential items, including fuel and machinery. Yet, amid these challenges, there are signs of resilience and potentials. The President's economic policies aim at revitalizing key sectors, promoting sustainable growth, and fostering inclusive development are steps in the right direction. We in the legislature must align our efforts with the executive to ensure that these initiatives are effectively implemented and yield tangible results for every Nigerian. Our goal is to provide our people with the much-needed relief from the current harsh economic realities. As we proceed with our legislative duties, our priorities are clear. With our legislative agenda set for ourselves, we intend to achieve significant mileage towards actualizing the targets across the 8 thematic areas.
The House, soon after the Speaker's remarks, settled for other matters on the other paper. Time to look through a few of them. A Bayelsa lawmaker, Mr. Rodney, moved a motion on the urgent need to contain the oil spillage from offshore facilities in southern Ijaw of Bayelsa State to foster environmental degradation. This was seconded by Mr. Mukhtar Chawai. The lawmaker is now on the floor.
The motion is urgent need to contain oil spillage from offshore facilities around certain Ijaw coastal communities to foster further environmental damages. The House knows that certain Ijaw federal constituency and several constituencies of the South-South Nigeria host oil installations, facilities, and companies in the oil exploration, exploitation, and production processes in Nigeria. Several oil companies like First E&P, Corn Oil, NEPL, SPDC, and Nigel United Oil Companies have pipelines and other facilities which traverses many coastal communities in southern Ijaw. The House further notes that Petroleum Industry Act and Oil Spill Recovery, Cleanup, Remediation and Damage Assessment Regulation 2021, as well as the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency set out operational standards and guidelines dealing with oil spillages to protect the environment, economic interests, and health of host communities who bear the impact of oil spillage and production. The House shocked that on the 3rd of January 2024, the people of Foropa, Ikeni, and Izetu kingdoms woke up to a devastating oil spillage from the Atlantic, which has destroyed their only source of livelihood, which is fishing and farming. Findings reveal that the oil spillage is occasioned by the leakages from the facilities operated by either of the following companies: First E&P, Corn Oil, NEPL, SPDC, and Nigel United Oil Company that owns oil installations in and around Benguetoro River. The House disturbed that the referenced oil fields does not only constitute one of the largest deep water operations in Nigeria, it also covers a large swath of southern Ijaw coastal waters. The volume of the damage recorded since 3rd of January 2024 until date, if not quickly arrested, will cause further damage to the waters and their content, leading to a near annihilation of aquatic lives, which is the only source of livelihood of the Middletown communities and southern Ijaw coastal communities. The House worried that despite the prompt reporting of this incident, the slow reaction of the companies who own these facilities around this coastal line to take responsibility over the incident is disturbing. The lethargic attitude of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, to promptly detect the area of leakage and contain the spillage will lead to massive unrest among youths and other residents of the impacted southern Ijaw coastal communities, who are predominantly fishermen and women whose livelihood, health, and right to clean and safe environment is being violated by the continuous spillage. The House, desirous of intervening through taking decisive steps towards ensuring protection of lives and livelihood of coastal communities in southern Ijaw Federal Constituency and the riverine communities, though that results as follows. Call on the management of all the companies who own oil facilities along the coastal communities to urgently stop the oil leakages from their facilities at Benguetoro River, affecting Foropa, Ikeni, Izetu Kingdom, and other communities in southern Ijaw. 2. Mandate the House Committee on Petroleum Upstream to carry out an extensive investigation into the immediate and remote causes of the spillage to ascertain which company facility is responsible for the spill, assess the extent of devastation and impact to the coastal communities of southern Ijaw Federal Constituency, and report to the House for further legislative action. 3. Call on National Emergency Management Agency to urgently supply relief materials to ameliorate the sufferings of the impacted communities who have lost source of livelihood. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Petroleum Upstream and NEPA for further legislative inputs.
The spokesman of the House, Mr. Akintunde Rotimi Jr., moved a motion on the need for security agencies to urgently stem the tide of criminality ravaging Ekiti State.
The House notes that there has been an increase in criminal activities in Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency in recent times, resulting in the loss of lives and property. The House also notes that the constituency is exposed to peculiar security challenges due to the nature of our forest and topography, and more painfully because Ekiti federal roads are some of the most dilapidated in the entire country. Further note that on Monday, January 29, 2024, these criminals carried out a dastardly attack in the UKOKO area in Ikole local government area, resulting in the death of 2 traditional rulers, the Onimojo of Imojo Ekiti, Oba Dr. Olatunji Samuel Olushola, and the Eleso of Esu Ekiti, Oba David Babatunde Ogushaki, and leaving a host of others with life-threatening injuries. Shocked that this is not an isolated event, as in the past few days alone, a commercial driver was killed between Ayedo and Ayebode by armed bandits. And just yesterday, a school bus load of students were abducted in Emure, Ekiti, and their whereabouts is still unknown till now. Aware that the late Onimojo was an intellectual and highly intelligent historian, an orator who always spoke truth to power. Also aware that the late Elesu was a peace-loving king who was very hands-on in the development of Esu-Ayedu communities. Further aware that because of the topography of the area and the bad roads, there's been an incursion of murderous elements who parade themselves as headsmen, leading to heightened insecurity. The House recognizes that the entire people of Imojo in Oye local government and Esu in Ikole local government and the entire state have been thrown into mourning on account of the loss of our highly revered traditional rulers who were forces for community development, peace and stability in the constituency and the entire state. Cognizant that the Nigerian army has a military outpost on that road, which has been non-functional as the only patrol on Tuesdays, leaving the communities exposed for the rest of the days. And the House resolves to observe a minute's silence in honor of the memory of the dearly departed monarchs. The House further urges the Chief of Army Staff to redeploy military personnel to the outpost along the Okeako area to enhance security and forestall a repeat of such acts. The House also directs the Inspector General of Police, the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security agencies to deploy more men to Ekiti North 1 and ensure that those who carried out those acts are fished out and brought to justice. The House also urges the security agencies to put all measures in place to rescue the school children and teachers who were abducted in Emure, Ekiti. The House also compels the Ministry of Works and FEMA to immediately rehabilitate the Ayedu to Irele Road and other roads in the federal constituency. The House also mandates the House Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance and report back to the House in 2 weeks. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Take it easy, Honorable. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the committees on Army, Police Affairs, Works, FEMA, and Legislative Compliance for further legislative actions. Shall we rise for a minute's silence? May the soul of the departed rest in peace.
Another motion bordering on insecurity was moved by Mr. Ishaya Lalu and seconded by Mr. Garba Inuwa. This is on the attack on Mangu community of Plateau State by insurgents. We now have the lawmaker presenting his motion.
The House note that on the 24th of January 2024, there was another attack on the people of Mangu local government area of Plateau State, killing more than 50 persons, other serious injuries with over 1,000 houses and properties, or billions of naira completely destroyed, with about 20,000 people displaced at different IDP camps within and outside the local government area. Further note that most of the victims that sustain various degrees of injuries are currently receiving medical attention in different hospitals within the state. Worried that the continuous attack by terrorists in Mangu local government area and Bokos local government area of Plateau State need to be addressed immediately. The House resolved to observe a minute silence as a mark of respect to all those killed in the attack in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. 2, the House to urge the Chief of Defense Staff to establish a civilian joint task force in Plateau State. The House resolved to set a committee to investigate the proximate cause of the incessant terrorist attack in Mangu, Bokos, Barkin-Ladi, and Riom local government area of Plateau State. The House resolved to mandate the committees on defense and legislative compliance to ensure compliance and furnish the House with a weekly report until the insecurity is brought under control. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Shall we rise for a minute silence? May the soul of the departed rest in peace.
All motions were voted on, adopted, and referred to relevant committees of the House for further legislative actions. Before we round off the maize today, we bring you updates from sittings of 2 committees of the House within the week. First, from Constitution Reviews. Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, who is the chairman of the committee, presided over a pre-inauguration meeting and announced the National Assembly is looking up to December 2025 as target date to conclude amendment of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Let's have Deputy Speaker Kalu on the mic.
It will be the 6th time that the National Assembly has embarked on amendment to the Nigerian Constitution. It is also the view of Mr. Speaker that we set a realistic timeline that does not conflict with electoral activities, specifically December 2025 is where we are looking at as a time to conclude the activities of this committee. It is not out of place to guess that there is some level of fatigue in the amendment process by some vocal sections of the populace. Whatever opinion you hold, it is important to let you know that we presently have 40 bills that are at various stages of consideration, which relates to the alteration of the Constitution. Emphasis on 40 bills already before the 10th Assembly. Secondly, we are well aware of our present challenging circumstances as a nation. The twin challenge of insecurity and economic difficulties could tamper with the confidence of our citizens. It is therefore our constitutional responsibility to respond to the 40 bills so far proposed and also attend to the duty of government to ensure the security and welfare of the citizens as provided by the Constitution. Since 2010, the National Assembly has successfully amended and made landmark changes to our Constitution. Since it was first handed over to Nigeria in 1999 by the military regime of General Abdul Salam Abubakar. Since then, some of the significant amendments successfully made by various efforts include judicial reforms, electoral reforms, age reduction, allowing younger persons to be appointed into the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as chairman and resident electoral commissioners, and also allowing a lower age to contest into certain elective positions, moving certain responsibilities of government from the exclusive list into the concurrent list, to allow for increased federalism, among other things that the nation yearns for. The Constitution Review Committee is having its pre-inaugural meeting today, preparatory to its inauguration, which date has been proposed for February 26, 2024. The committee is fully aware of the concerns of Nigerians on the need to finalize and conclude discussions around Nigeria's constitution. I would like to state, however, that the nature of Nigeria's constitution and the history around how it was made and handed over to a new civilian government in 1999 makes it imperative for us to continually revisit the several provisions of the Constitution and work towards accomplishing consensus on outstanding constitutional debates. Let me also remind the committee that in the last Constitution review efforts, there were some key Constitution amendment proposals that did not pass, either because we did not fully understand their provisions or we did not have enough time to agree on them. An example was the proposal to create additional seats for women in federal and state legislative houses. Let us use this opportunity to understand this proposal, hoping that those who are the promoters of this particular amendment will start their advocacy timely and be more thorough and comprehensive in reaching to the stakeholders that control the mindsets of their representatives in the House of Representatives. Before I round up, may I remind you the parameters of the jurisdiction of this committee. Number one, recommending the alteration of Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 and all other acts that are to be altered in accordance with Section 8 and Section 9 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 2. Receiving and considering any proposals, bills for alteration of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which may be made or referred to it by the House, to ensure that alterations to the Constitution are passed by the National Assembly and assented to by Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Number 3, creating a forum for relevant stakeholders and members of the public to make their inputs to the Constitution review process, to enact laws that improve the well-being and aspiration of the Nigerian people. Number 4, building a robust collaborative relationship with the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and with the 36 state houses of assembly whose resolutions are part of the legislative journey of the bills, liaise with the relevant government agencies, civil society organizations, multilateral and supranational agencies and bodies to achieve a wholesome amendment to the Nigerian Constitution. And finally, number 5, liaising with relevant government agencies, civil society organizations, multilateral and supranational agencies and bodies to achieve a wholesome amendment to the Nigerian Constitution.
The Public Accounts Committee of the House, popularly known as PAC, during its sitting gave the Federal Fire Service 7 days to refund an unaccounted sum of 1.484 billion naira COVID-19 intervention funds to the federal government's coffers. Mr. Bamidele Salam is chairman of the committee and now speaks.
If they got 1.484 billion and they have been given opportunities to come and explain how the money was spent on 3 different occasions, not even a letter from the Federal Fire Service, no submission of documents on 3 consecutive times. So I want to put the question, those in favor of this motion that the Federal Fire Service refund a sum of 1,484,903,760 naira to the Federation account, you say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. By this motion, moved and carried, the accounting officer of the Federal Fire Service of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is hereby ordered to refund the monies released as COVID intervention fund in 2020-2021, 1.4 billion naira to the Federation account within 7 days and provide evidence of such refund to the Public Accounts Committee.
The committee also issued fresh invitations to some other defaulting ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs of the federal government, to appear and explain various queries against them from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation on several billions of naira allocated to them during the COVID-19 as intervention funds. I'm afraid that's how far we can go today. The Maze returns Friday next week at 8 p.m. Join us then and check out all editions on our YouTube channel, ASO Radio and Television. Like our page and do subscribe. I am Rosemary UKOKO-TEGA.